Was having a little bit of an issue on a transaction that I'm working on, and one side was demanding something of the other side that the other side couldn't deliver on, and the other side thought that the one side was being unreasonable and said, look, we've told them we're going to move forward. We need more time. Tell them to give us more time. Like, this is not reasonable the way they're behaving, and we need more time. But we're going to move forward, so we just want them to trust us. I was nervous about the situation. And this is where I think being an intermediary, a broker, in business, is where you earn your stripes. This is where you really bring value. One place where you bring value is by, in my case, finding the money, which I did. And then another place is where these sticking points and misunderstandings or miscommunications, ironing them out and getting both sides, to work together. And so in that moment, I've got one side pulling me one way, I've got the other side pulling me the other way. And I felt myself like the one side that's got the money is saying, look, we need them to do this, tomorrow. And my client is saying, we can't do it by tomorrow, but we're going to do it. And at first, I found myself saying, God, I wish my client would just do what these other guys want them to do, so I wouldn't have to feel this stress. And then I talked to my client, and they explained their side to me, and I connected with the fact that they're my client. I need to represent them, and it was my job to fix the situation, to make sure that it went well. Because there was that part of me that's like, God, I wish somebody else would just come in and fix this, so I didn't have to deal with this, or because I wasn't sure that I could do it. I was like, what if I mess this up? And I connected with that part of myself. I was like, look, I'm the guy. This is my job. I'm going to do this. It's going to go how it's going to go. At the end of the day, I can't force one side to do something they're not going to do, but I can communicate the desires and the rationale for those desires as clearly as possible, and I can ask for what we want. And that's what I did. I wrote an email to the capital side, and it's probably the best email I've ever written. Maybe it just feels that way because it had the desired result, which it did. I didn't know if it would or not. I wrote the email. I wrote it to the person that I have been dealing with and to his superior, I believe. I also know the other person. Actually, I've known that other person longer than the first person, but the first person is the one that I deal with mostly now at this company. But I felt like in the moment, I needed to include this other person who I believe is the senior partner. So I copied that other person, but I wrote the email to the first guy. And I just explained the situation. So look, this is what's happening. This is why it's taking longer. We appreciate your patience. And I explained why I thought they should give us more time. And it was probably a 3-paragraph email. And I was sincere, and I was like open and professional, and also just like appealed to just principles. And I said some stuff that I was afraid to say because from a purely business perspective, it's a little mushy. Like I said, like, hey, you have our word, you have our promise that we're moving forward. But at the end of the day, like, that was authentic, so I left it in. And that's what it was. I sent this email, and the reply came back like, totally understandable. We look forward to working with you. Like, that was the reply. Like, wow. Like, just, exactly the response that I hoped for. I wasn't sure I'd get that response, but that was the best possible response. It was such a gratifying interaction. Like, I'm really proud of it. I'm really happy with it. And so it was a beautiful thing, because there was no reason at the end of the day for this to blow up, for there to be a misunderstanding. And it's very encouraging to me to be able to explain that, stand in the middle, be responsible, be effective, like, take it on. That is a good feeling.